Hi guys, coming up on today's wrestling news, is Daniel Bryan returning to WWE TV?
What former star was almost Sister Abigail?
Naomi deletes her Twitter after online abuse.
WWE not taking actions against Jimmy Uso right now.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Ben Turner.
And this is the news.
Yes, and to start Monday off, we've got some Sister Abigail news because The Fiend and Sister Abigail and everything around The Fiend will never leave us alone, Adam. And do you know, do you want to know who was almost Sister Abigail?
Go on.
It was almost Mike Bennett of, I'm going to say of Maria Kanellis fame because he's married to a very famous wrestler. No, but Mike Bennett spoke with the Metro recently before his Ring of Honor Pure Championship tournament, and it turns out that he was almost going to be Sister Abigail, yes, a puppet for The Fiend. Do you have any thoughts on this before I go into more of this and tell you who else was going to be another puppet?
Well, yeah, I can see immediate issues straight away, but I'll let you get into all the various people playing puppets, I suppose.
Well, he was very sort of candid, and he didn't go into the widest detail of who was going to be it, but it was sort of Vince's plan that each puppet of the Five-Head Funhouse was going to be an actual human. So the only other one we kind of like have sort of firm fit on is that the Buzzard was going to be Eric Young. I mean, it probably explains why we didn't see much of Eric Young around, and I just wonder who else in the company at the time was gonna be a puppet before Vince goes, "Sorry, pal, I've changed my mind, and now we're not playing with toys anymore, and it's just gonna be all for him."
Yeah, I mean, like you say, feel free to speculate in the comment section down below who else could have played the puppets. I'm sure Vince had a long list for Huskus the Pig Boy, but regardless. Surreal news to read about this today. Like you say, I get it, there's this wild lore of Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, and there's been years and years of people suggesting who Sister Abigail should be or should be portrayed by, from all the way back to it being like Paige and stuff, obviously with the Alexa Bliss things. People talked about Liv Morgan for a while, and then there was the bit where Bray Wyatt himself put on a bit of a high-pitched voice and wore a cloak over his head or something. It's surreal, is the only way I can say this.
I can't remember who got injured at that point, because we almost had Pumpkin Balor. Was Balor injured?
No, I think that was the one where the mumps did the round, so like Roman and Bray missed the TLC show, I want to say off the top of my head. It's all very complicated, but yeah, I sense that there have been some iffy decisions surrounding The Fiend, but not doing this as a storyline. I love Mike Bennett. I wish they utilised him more, and Eric Young. But yeah, this would have been a hard sell for me. But we all know what people get on about when it gets to the Fiend and the lore of The Fiend. It's just like, oof.
Would they have thrown another veil over him like they did with Bray Wyatt? That's the thing. Like, would he have had to put a high-pitched voice on? Would he have done some weird sort of intergender comedy just to really make Vince laugh? Would it have all been just for that? Would it be just man puts dress on to make Vince laugh at the end of the day? Which I think it probably would have ended up being. Yeah, they
would have been on very, very thin ice. And I think, like I say, I think a lot of the lore, it's not really for me. It's not for many people, but some people really get on board with it. I think regardless of how you feel generally about this, it's a really, really tough sell to make all this stick. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll find out more details as to how they're going to lay this out. But let's move on and talk about Daniel Bryan. Loads of speculation recently about him potentially returning to WWE TV, particularly with the amount of times he is being mentioned week upon week upon week on SmackDown as part of this Edge and Roman Reigns storyline. Well, Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter has kind of confirmed something that people were speculating on, whether or not this means Bryan is going to be returning to WWE TV. And as of right now, he's not going to be returning to TV. They are apparently just using the references to Daniel Bryan to really heat up that feud between Edge and Roman Reigns. But what do you reckon, Ben Roy, in terms just generally of the fact that obviously there was a big furor about his contract running out and loads of people saying maybe he's going to pop up in AEW. I'm still of the opinion that this is just him having some time off and he will return to WWE, and it's maybe a handshake deal he's had so far until they officially put pen to paper.
It's a weird one because Daniel Bryan could at this point could do anything he wants. The world, if for better or worse, is opening up now, so he can jump around to different promotions that are sort of reigniting. There's fantasy booking of saying him in AEW, but like at this point, I think everyone and their nana in AEW. So it's like, is there any TV time for anyone left in that company? I think, especially like when we have so many like storylines going on there, and you don't want to push some to the side. Like it's a weird one, and at the same time, I feel like he's one of those people that does have a position for as long as he can go in WWE, and we've seen him. He just came off like a WrestleMania main event match, right? Like he's definitely still high up in the cards for them. I think he might be on a handshake deal, but at the same time, sort of like, you know, testing the water to see who else is out there and see what opportunities are going. And like if we ever have that rumor of him, like say potentially doing some New Japan stuff while he's in WWE, I think that would be like his perfect life, maybe, if his body can take it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think obviously if AEW got the chance to sign Daniel Bryan, I think obviously they're doing a heartbeat. They make room for someone like Daniel Bryan, but they've got a lot of stuff going on there, and they've got a lot of stuff going on in WWE right now in terms of the Daniel Bryan return. That almost makes it. I mean, obviously he's mint. You always want to see him, but he's not immediately necessary. You've got the Edge stuff. You've got Seth Rollins in the background. And obviously you've got the whole thing with Roman Reigns and the Usos.
I reckon that we should fantasy book him in AEW, and we reignite the feud. That was a legendary one. Let's get AEW's second ever cage match. Let's get Big Show, Mark Henry, and Daniel Bryan in a cage at AEW, and let's for the AEW World Title. Bring it back. Bring back the Hall of Pain. Bring back No BS Paul White. Let's go.
Why am I not surprised by you booking that? Why am I not surprised whatsoever?
Good times, but I guess we should, from probably one of the better fantasy bookings we've had in a long time, just then too. WWE not taking action against Jimmy Uso right now, and it's kind of like this is one of their most. I'm just going to say like hard things to talk about because at the same time you're talking about someone who's done some drink driving in the past, and we do see we put out that and. For all intents and purposes, should this person be taken off TV because they have done this in real life? Maybe. At the same time, why should they also keep them on because of like further plans going on? And the rumours are that he's not being taken off. This comes from Dave Meltzer himself, the legend himself, that he's not being taken off TV anytime soon because he's wrapped up in this major storyline, and because this could all be leading up to one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson around WrestleMania time. And not only is The Rock, if The Rock comes back for WrestleMania, that's a big thing. We all know that, right? That's like the highest tier of superstar that isn't wrestling that can come back right now. The Rock is just The Rock. He might be the president one day of the United States. Who knows at this point? If this whole sort of family sort of thing, the head of the table stuff plays in, it makes sense to keep him going on. But at the same time, it's a weird one. Yeah.
I mean, like you say, Jimmy Uso's got a history with these sorts of things. Awful news to report on last week. But it's a dumb thing to do. Don't do it. That's first and foremost what we should go and say. But also, I think, personally, I'm of the opinion that Jimmy Uso needs help for something like this. This isn't just a couple of one-off incidents. He's got a track record, unfortunately, with all this. But also, you can also see from WWE side of things, like you say, that we talked about last week, that they were pissed off, understandably, furious with what's going on there. But in the midst of this, bloodline, wider ranging, family feud, basically, they don't want to be making waves with this and all the further fallout from this, perhaps, until they. Well, especially when they could have someone like The Rock with a name like that involved in it all. It doesn't make sense in terms of, he's letting him get away scot-free. A sense internally they will deal with it, and maybe they'll hold off on a punishment until, like you say, they can get further along in this storyline. But I've always been of the opinion that there is a really good, easy, straightforward storyline that can lead us from where we are right now to WrestleMania next year with some huge matches with John Cena and Brock Lesnar potentially along the road, and obviously Edge coming up at Money in the Bank. So I think, this I'd lend quite a lot of credence to this storyline off the back of that. But it's it's a really, really tough issue. And related to that, Ben Roy, our final story today concerns Naomi, of course, the other half of Jimmy Uso, who's unfortunately over the weekend deleted her Twitter because of awful online abuse. That's a hot topic, obviously, here in England today, off the back of a European Championship defeat on penalties. Look, it's really easy. This. Don't be a knobhead on Twitter. That is what has happened. People have been blaming Naomi and sending awful stuff her way. It's one of the worst sides of wrestling Twitter, this for me, Ben Roy. Thankfully, she's received support from the likes of, we see tweets from Zelina Vega, Cedric Alexander, Mia Yim, but this is not something you want to see or hear about, is it?
No, and I'm always... It's a crap thing to see. Is at the end of the day, and for the most part, I'm almost convinced that some of these people don't even exist. These people, obviously these accounts exist that are throwing abuse out, but they don't seem humanly how it's happened so much. Like you said, from comment sections to a video to that, and it's just do man, just something that obviously Naomi doesn't need right now, or ever, and no one needs ever or right now, and it's just. Don't do it. Don't be a dick. You could probably do some better things with your time. I don't know, make it make someone smile instead. Just get over yourself and move on with your day, and maybe say these things if you got to say them, talk to your friends, and then don't put them in the public sphere. Yeah, exactly. I always have the opinion of you don't tweet something you wouldn't be willing to say to someone's face, and if you're going to go on Twitter and do something wrestling related, why don't you send us a Twitter question instead, rather than abusing someone who's obviously in a tough spot already? At WhatCulture WWE, let's get on to our Twitter questions. First question today comes from Sean Acklin, who says, first condolences. Thank you, Sean, I needed that this morning. Now my question, with the quarantine era slowly coming to an end, what's been the best thing in any promotion during this tumultuous time? I think my favourite thing is the near constant hot streak of the Tribal Chief. What have you been enjoying over the last, 18 months, Ben Roy? This was unintentionally planned, but I have the merch for it. Just Eddie Kingston here, just the man, the legend. Since I didn't. I'm gonna say I didn't know he even existed until he came into AWTV, and from there I've just gone down into Eddie Kingston. I don't know what. Rabbit hole of just him existing, his promos, just from him being in the world title picture. I'm trying to think of the pay-per-view, the Full Gear. Yeah. Just everything AEW he's done so far, I've really enjoyed, and I just want to see more of his work, and I want him to win some sort of belt in AEW at some point. I get there's a queue, but come on, let's get Eddie Kingston in there. And if he wants to be with Death Triangle, the family, anyone, just all his 17 different factions, just let's get him in there, and let's just cut more promos of Jon Moxley, because they were excellent. Yeah, I have to say, I'm exactly in the same boat as you, Ben Roy. I knew of Eddie Kingston. I didn't know anything about him, if I'm honest, until he arrived in AEW. And he has just blown my socks off over the last few months and year or so. So I completely agree with you on that. And with you, Sean, I think the Roman Reigns return has been just the breath of fresh air that WWE has needed and needs more of, in my opinion. Best thing they got going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so great to finally see, Roman Reigns really getting his teeth into a character and just being the best thing about WWE for the past year or so as we come up to SummerSlam, obviously. I'm going to give a nice nod as well too, and they've not all been great, just general cinematic matches. We've had some bad ones, we've had some iffy stuff in there, but we also had great stuff with obviously the Firefly Funhouse John Cena thing, with Stadium Stampede with Sting. We had the Swamp Bollocks with Bray and Braun. I enjoyed
Money in the Bank as well. For some reason, that feels like saying that I fantasy booked when I was a kid. We ran to the roof or something. You know what I mean? That just feels like some weird stuff that you did with your wrestling figures in a cardboard box. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, what a year. Was Aleister Black was one of the two men who got thrown off the roof, wasn't he? They just went, oh yeah.
And then next day, fine.
Yeah, next day. Oh no, just fell to the next level. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Ridiculous, bonkers stuff that. But Yeah, I'm excited for the proper Money in the Bank coming up. It's this Sunday, isn't it, Ray? Let's move on to your next question. It comes from Josh McDonald, who says, "Good morning, buds. Canadian accent from Wilborn, please." Oh, I don't know, my new best friend's Evereyes might not be happy about that. Go and check out that Evereyes interview, by the way, on our channel. It's great stuff. Aboot. Who is your... I don't know what that is. I'm too tired this morning. Who's your favourite wrestler from Canada? We can't say Bret Hart or Edge, though. Who are you picking, Ben Roy?
If I was to pick my favourite wrestler from Canada, it's probably going to have to be Chris Jericho. I can't think of anyone else. Even if I could include them, it's so close, but I still think Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho's a great shout. Removing Edge.
Or Lance Storm, just for the smile that he never had. You know what, Lance Storm, let's give him a shout.
Put some damn respect on that legend's name. My mind immediately went to, I have to say, when Edge and Bret Hart got ruled out, immediately went to Kevin Owens, but also Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They come together as a package, and they're just wonderful. But we are spoiled for choice. Christian Cage, obviously. Take your pick. Let us know your picks in the comment section below, and we'll finish today with Mike on the Mic's question, Ben Roy. With the 25th anniversary of the NWO, if you could form a new version of the NWO with current members of the WWE roster, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK, who would be your choice? Right, let's try and pick one from each show there.
Okay.
And we'll pick two each. So who's the first name you're putting in the NWO, the modern day NWO?
Randall Keith Orton from Raw, because he had a t-shirt. He basically riffed off them with their t-shirt anyway, and I could see him doing some weird Too Sweet stuff, wearing a bandana and just doing whatever he can to be a dick but stay out of trouble at the same time. I'm gonna say that just because I can.
Do you know what? I think people will roll their eyes, but you think about the origin of the NWO of these huge legends, and obviously Orton's been heel and face loads. Heel a lot more than face, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's actually quite a good pick, I'm going to go from NXT UK with one Tyler Bate. I think this could really make him as a character. I don't really see a lot of NXT UK, but big fan of Tyler Bate. Hopefully, he can pop up more back on NXT because he's such a talent. But yeah, Tyler Bate in the NWO. Two more spots to fill. Ben Roy, who are we picking?
You know what? I'm going to cheat a bit, and I know he's not wrestling right now, but I'm going to say Samoa Joe, because I just want Samoa Joe to be doing stuff. And I'm just thinking of days like, I'm trying to think of the main event Mafia and how he was toyed around with that. And I'm just going to steal some TNA gimmick and take Samoa Joe and put him in the NWO.
I tell you what, you can come back for these Twitter questions. That's better answers than Andy. Andy would have just put Gangrel or someone in there. Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, Tyler Bate, and because they never let me have nice things with him, put Sami Zayn in there, because he might actually win a title if you do that with him. I can
see that,
He'd be so good in the black and white. I mean, his skanking down the ring is fun enough. And like you say, with all the Too Sweet bollocks that we can get back into, I tell you what, that's a pretty good stable, Let us know your picks. You have to pick one from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK. Let us know in the comments, and we'll maybe mention some of the best ones for that tomorrow. Let's finish up with today's and finally. And Ben Roy, you and I agreed on this. We can only go to one thing, and that is this photo of Taz, his first ever photo shoot. Look at that hair. Look at that tash. Look at that whole bloody aesthetic. Taz said, "My aunt worked at the studio, so I got a slight discount. Still had to save for a couple of weeks. #Kid Crush." That is an image that will stay with me for quite some time, Ben Roy.
I don't understand it. Also, the frame of it being in sort of like what you get from a school as well. It's like when you've paid. I keep looking at it, and for some reason, I don't know. Like the perspective, he looks more powerful. His arms are so much bigger, and his face. I just can't stop looking at that face of the moustache and the hair going on. Imagine if everyone in Team Taz for one night dressed like that. Could you imagine the Taz appreciation night for Team Taz? I can't stop looking at it. I'm mesmerised.
Yeah, it's just great. This you can go and check it out on and share your love with Taz. It's liked on our Twitter page at WhatCulture WWE if you want to go and directly interact with Taz, and maybe suggest that Hook dresses like that going forward on AEW Dynamite, because I'm 100% here for it. I think the kids say it's a vibe. I don't really know. I'm too old for this sort of bollocks, but yes, absolutely sensational. It's so good. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Daddy Boys sitting down to review SmackDown and preview the go-home episode ahead of Money in the Bank for Monday Night Raw a little bit later on. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Ben Roy Turner at
Ben Roy Turner.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Only nice things today. I'm in a very sensitive place after that European Championships final. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE, of course, on Twitter. But for now, my thanks to Ben Roy Turner. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
The H stands for home. That's where Andy is right now.
Oh.